is your mind? How is your mental health as of now? You're relaxed. We have from Tangaza. You are calm. Yes. And Pauline? Yeah, that's good. Eunice? Relaxed. Esther? Contented. Rose? Enthusiastic. Mahalon? A little anxious. That's good. Genuineness. Susan? You're warm. Yes. Kamau? Yeah, Lydia? At peace. Kamau? Relaxed. Alice? Calm. We have our sister from the back. You're well. Brother? Relaxed. Joseph? Hoping. That's good. Who has not said? Even the media team. Yeah, describe your mental health. How are you? You're fine? At peace? Relaxed? Relaxed. Oh, we are good to go now. Members, put your hearts together as we welcome Dr. Alice Anika to come and give her presentation. Let's celebrate Dr. Alice. Mpaka afike hapa. Keep clapping. Very encouraging. Yes. The media people, are you settled? Yeah, assist Dr. Alice.
It is still good morning. So good morning to you. How are you people today? I know that as people of God, I don't know how many normally have morning devotions coming to you on your phones. How many do have? By show of hand. Aha. What was your morning devotion today? Daktari, in a summary. What? He talked about wisdom. Thank you. What did yours talk about? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The comfort? Beyond the comfort zone. Thank you. I saw several hands. I saw several hands. Morning devotion today. Yes, ma'am? Be the light. Uh-huh. Yes. Yes. That? Aha. For God so loved the world, and God gave us the begotten Son. Yes. Uh-huh. We have to trust God. I'm alluding to what is on the board. I'm alluding to that presentation. You had a morning devotion? You don't. I saw some hands. Morning devotion on your phone? Yours was the same, yes? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Let's clap to God, for God is gracious. That is overall evidence-based in handling anxiety. I went to that devotion because we are faced with various things that causes anxiety in our everyday life. And the other presenters have combed through and through the causes, the symptoms, and all that. And was it the Reverend in the morning also combed on the spiritual aspect in as far as handling anxiety is concerned. But above everything else, we are talking of evidence-based, meaning that God is number one evidence-based management in anxiety. Is it true? Is it true? Otherwise, why do we have the morning devotions every day? Why? Why do you find yourself waking up and going to it? Have you ever thought about it? Mm-hmm. When you begin with God, it makes a difference. Because the way God created us, God created Adam and Eve and put in the Garden of Eden. And then, when God came and asked Adam, "Where are you?" What did Adam say? It is this woman. Did he answer what God asked? He started blaming. It is this woman. And then God said, "For you, man, you will be tilling the land, the environment to provide. And for you, the woman, you will feel pain and have your children." And so the woman is supposed to care for the family. Is it true? Men in the house? Huh? The work of a woman? The work of a woman. Now you are going to another level of modern. Me, I'm talking of simply God creation. And we are looking at evidence-based means of handling anxiety. And we are coming from that element that we are God creatures. And God has given us wisdom, which my brother, who? Okoth. The devotion today and Dr. Tienos is on wisdom. And that wisdom is number one evidence-based approach in answering and handling anxiety. And anxiety are everyday issues that we face in our everyday life. But when we have that wisdom, then everything comes down to all the adjectives that we have talked about now. Because we were being asked, how do you feel? Peaceful, calm, anxiety, So when we have wisdom, then we are there. My name is Dr. Anika Alice. I just started rambling. I didn't mention who I am. That was introduced. I am Dr. Anika Alice. I've been a member here since we struggled. I'm happy Kupca is growing, and every time we have a session, we have new members coming on board, and that's a pleasure. For those we started with and we are still working, it's a pleasure working with you, coming together. I'd had a lot of responsibility in the university. I joined Pwani when Pwani was just starting, 2007, as a part-timer. So I saw it grow, and I had a lot of responsibility. For those who know me, I'm the founder of counseling in the university, the AIDS Control Unit, the Dean of Students' Office, and lecturer, psychology department, I had so much to do. Today, I look back and I'm proud of the work and the foundation that I laid, because upon that, I interacted with Kupca as it started in its foundation with Jen Gatia and the rest, as the history has it. And believe me, Kupca is doing a wonderful job. I believe that you all know what happened to us in the university. Or I'm assuming you all know. Without Kupca, I don't know. I don't know what would have happened to us. But the work that the team, the executive did, it's only God that can pay them. And my team, my colleagues, Winnie, Sarah, Japheth, Washira, we are 5. They have sent their greetings to you. Kindly just receive them in a special way. And the administration have also said, I greet you, and they are very grateful. And that's why I'm here. I'm here just to say thank you, Chair, and your executive team. The Egerton team, we are just grateful. Nairobi University. And all the other councillors who came from all over. Some even went to Nairobi Hospital to meet our students. Councillor Jane went on with the student until, I don't know whether now the student belongs to our house. We are grateful. Thank you. The work she did. So you councillors, you are just great, and that's how we are connected. Those who are still coming in, our work in the university is such that we normally come in and go. So I've been lost for a long time because of work. With the time, we progress from administrative and again academic. You know how academic and administrative are different. But to me, I multitasked. I was in both. And with the time, I grew up to the administration. And again, time reached and I said, wacha nikae kando kidogo. Yes, when I was the registrar AFP. And that is the time I was to follow Lillian. No, I think Lillian was to follow me or something. Election was to be done. And everybody was waiting. Where is Alice? I couldn't come. My DVC said, Alice, you are not going. You are the administrator of the university. You are not going. And that is it. Mkubwa akisema unafuata. And so I've been off until today. I'm happy to be with you people. I'm so happy to see you people, to see our organization growing. And we are very, very grateful. Thank you so much. Today I'm here in the capacity to share with you. And what I'm sharing is what we do. But we just want to learn from one another and remind ourselves that whatever we are practicing, we are professionals. And because we are professionals, we are backed with that which has been researched and that has been tried. And so the training you have, professionalism you have, gives you a language that you use to talk to people and to do your work. So when I'm presenting this, they are not new to you. We are reminding ourselves that they have been researched. And so you are confident enough when using them. And as we are living here and applying them, that in our everyday activities as we do them, we know that what you are talking about, you've not picked it from the market. It is something that is evidence, you are proud of it, your colleagues have a language in it, and therefore you are qualified to use it. So my work today is to look at evidence-based anxiety disorder intervention. You know now I'm a lecturer. I counsel. I'm also in class. And so sometimes we go by those protocols as usual. I look at introduction and research in relation to the state of anxiety and the common categories in relation to students, not all, because you have the classification in the DMS-5 category. So I'll specifically just move. And then other people who have talked have been talking about them. And because you are a psychologist and a counselor, you automatically have your checklist to ensure that whoever you have is actually feeling that which you need to handle. And then what are the evidence-based and the references you can have. So when we talk about evidence-based intervention approaches, what are we talking about? We still have to understand anxiety. And I started by mentioning God, who created us in the Garden of Eden, and therefore, man was given his work and woman was given his work, but we are too clever competing with God every day. Therefore, these things bring anxiety to us. If we were to remain the way God created us, we would be very happy. Even when you look scientifically, the way that garden is drawn, it's all roses, nice, and everything. We would be calm. But things have evolved with the time. Today, we are talking of .com and what have you. So we are all the time on the run. And this running creates anxiety in us every day. And as counselors, we know very well that anxiety is good. One of our sisters said anxiety is also good. We have the good anxiety, we have the bad one. We have the positive and the negative. We all the time either fight or we fly away from issues. And therefore, anxiety disorders are now a group of mental health conditions characterized by excessive worries. Excessive. Because every day you are supposed to worry. If you don't worry, how will you eat? How will you eat? Si hata inatakana uamuke. Utaamuka kama huna kitu unatafuta kweli. Si lazima. So the body is made in a manner that you have to wake up. You don't even have to read. These workshops are not meant for you to read. You don't stress your mind reading. You are just supposed to interact and listening. But the reading, you will be given, you will be given the notes, yes, for you to. But because academic requires that you support whatever you are talking about, right now I'm coordinating the postgraduate studies in School of Education. We know the academic rights so that we don't just talk. Yeah, so don't worry about writing and all that, yes. So when we are moving to mental health condition and anxiety disorder, it means we have now left the normal anxiety, the positive one. We are now moving, the graph is moving to the stress. And even stress, you know how it is moving, okay? Because stress is also positive, then the graph peaks. When you continue worrying and you are in this phobic state for a period of more than 6, would I say, what is the continuum that I can give for continuous worrying? I want us just to take a slight moment of traveling. Let's relax and assume we are at the bus stage. Let's all go to the bus stage. Then assume we don't have the shuttle, the good vehicles, and what have you. Imagine those old buses, those things that people used to use when you are young. Then you are in that bus. The bus, you are inside. Conductor amekuja na zile mzigo zako zote, you are packed inside. Now lile engine inanguruma. Okay? So it is going. Imagine you are inside. Put yourself inside that bus. Are we inside? Let's get inside there. Now ile engine. How long? How long? Is that engine running? Until when? Uliingia asubuhi na mzigo zako unataka kusafiri. Alafu umekuwa bundled hapo. Until what time? Now, if anxiety, if you can be in a state of worry, like that engine, up to when? Now, the more it now goes, when you are in that state of worry, that is when now the disorder and mental health now starts. Are we together? Is the correlation coming in? Yes. So we have heard, Dr. Pamela has handled the anxiety, the general. Now we are moving to the disorder. And that is what is bringing the fear, the worry, the physiological arousal, which now needs to be handled by a professional. That is the disorder now. And when it reaches that disorder, now a specialist needs to handle you. So when we are talking about evidence-based, research and clinical trials is a backbone of the professional output that you are doing, because they have been tested and tried. And there are several evidence-based interventions. You know, you are all counselors, and we are going to ask, how did you handle this situation? How did you handle this situation? How did you handle this situation? They are varied. But when we are applying, we need practical entity of what we do. Every counselor wants to be successful in the client that you are handling. So that, remember our father, Sigmund Freud, handled a client, and what happened to that client in the long run? Anybody? What happened to the client that Sigmund Freud handled? Remember, he was a neurosurgeon, and for a long time when he started his psychology, he realized that there's something disturbing people, that there's no medication like treatment, injection. So he got to the other side to start studying anxiety and all that facet. Eventually, the client of Sigmund Freud committed suicide. Are we aware of that? So we normally would want to run away from that, so that at the end, you are practical oriented with what we are doing. That's why we are talking of evidence-based intervention. These interventions are rigorous scientific research. Various people have studied and have come up with them. They help to reduce symptoms of anxiety, and they help to improve overall function of the individual. Our main aim, whether you are psychoanalytic, whether you are client-centered, whichever approach, the main aim is to normalize. Because a human being is supposed to function and do their daily things. Isn't it? Yes. Normalize. The choice of intervention, again, varies. It depends on the type, because we have now, the DSM-5 gives us various categories. So which type? Which one is the client suffering from? It also depends on the severity of anxiety disorder, how severe, and the individual preferences. Because you are going to discuss. We apply client-centered, and you are discussing with the client, and you are moving as you are discussing with the client on the preferences. All this depends on their culture, the individual, their IQ level of handling their issues, and what the professional has recommended. What is the state of anxiety as far as research is concerned? I'm moving to research. Why? We are dealing with evidence-based approach. The Google machine gave us Korir. Korir did meta-analysis study in Kenya. He took about 17 studies that had been done on the prevalence of anxiety disorder, and this is what he reported. You can see that affective had 39, anxiety 31, somatoform 13, depressive 26, as it goes. You see, anxiety is existing in as far as research evidence is concerned. Then the one that was done recently, the Kenya National Mental Health Survey 2022, I'm looking at the adolescent. The reported prevalence rate among them at 26, female 27, overall 26.2. That tells us evidently that anxiety is a killer. Sub-Saharan Africa, Washira 2022 gave us a report that number one problem that is disturbing the learners, the students at the university, among the ones in South Africa, this is what he found out in the study. 24 social anxiety disorder, 22% eating disorder, 21 post-traumatic stress disorder. And another study which was done in the US, again a meta-analysis study, 36 universities were taken, 34 colleges, that was in 2022, reported moderate to severe levels of anxiety. These things is telling us that students are learning, but what is the problem? Anxiety disorder is real, real. And when we are coming from here, let's have our intervention evidence-based approach at fingertips to apply them. Some of the common categories of students' anxiety: anticipatory anxiety. All the time the learners are like, what is coming next? What is coming next? And you know the way the lecturers, next week I'm bringing my cat. Next week, Nani, you are presenting. Next week, we are going to the field. Next week, mpaka hata mtoto anachoka. Can't we just teach? Can't we just teach? Yani kila saa tu ni hii. And what happens at home? Mothers, at homes. Susie, what do we tell children at home? Okay. Usipoleta hii, nitafanya hii. Nilikutuma huu, wako hapa. Naangaika na muko hapa. My peers, what do mummies normally do to you at home? And daddy? That causes anxiety? Sema. Ati nini isipofanywa ni nini inafanyika? Yes. Upati pocket money. Na usipofanya nini? Usipokuja nyumbani mapema. Na nini tena? Na ukienda, ukitoka kwa lile mlango, uende na usirudi. Yes. Mama, she had stress at that moment. And ataenda. Imagine, can you imagine that? Mama ako chini. Na unamwambia mtoto, mimi wewe ndio hope yangu. Na usipo perform, my girl, mimi hautanipata. What level of anxiety is in that house? Now that is disorder now. It's now not the normal one. Mimi hautanipata. Daddy?
For me, I can say it's fear of the future as a man. You know, like you want to make them proud.
Yes.
Give back.
Yes.
So for what they've done for you, so you know, that's the future. You feel like you'll be successful for you to pay back what they've done. So when I think about this in terms of the
Are there those who are finishing among you? Who are completing? What are your fears now?
fear of the future. What I'm planning what is going to happen.
And even job-wise, hata ujui uanze wapi. Now there is expectation at home. What does that do to you? How do you feel? You are all the time anxious, all the time worried. Sometimes you even lose direction on what do you do. When you wake up in the morning, do you know what you're supposed to do? Yes. So thank God that we have peer counseling, peer education, and the teachers talking to you. Do your teachers, lecturers normally talk to you? They do, preparing you for future. But you have so much uncertainty as to where are you going. You can hear from them. And that is the real life situation. So anxiety, anticipatory anxiety, okay? And even the exam. All the time exam, all the time cut, all the time what? Then, do you know what it means when we tell students you are presenting? They have their girlfriends and boyfriends, and then they are supposed to be in front presenting. Another one feel like melting. Daktari, mimi sitaki kuonekana hapo. Kwa nini? Nani ataniona? And you know, naturally, you know, when you are being seduced, and at the university, yule mwenye anakuona hakuna marafiki zake. Si ndivyo? Kwani anakuseduce na vacuum? Kama atakuoa, si yako na wenzake? Na wanakuangalia pia wanamesha, unamuonaje? Because you have to measure. And we tell the girls, it's not being naked. Because a good one, they don't want the naked one. They want a decent one. Test anxiety, results all the time, missing marks, I don't know what, you know? And social anxiety, kusimama tu kukaa na group. The other, my colleague said, hata kusimama hapa. Kama huwa hujazoea kusimama hapa, ni a problem. And it's a lot of anxiety, isn't it? Can you imagine the first, I don't know who has, maybe there are some of colleagues. My classes are always 100, 200. I'm used to crowds, eh? But the first time umeenda hapo, iko vipi? Yes. Now you are handling your clients. The sum of the things you will observe, your checklist as a counselor. The client has come before you. You have your anxiety test. You have your scale to score. And as the client is waiting, you have given the secretary that as we are waiting, can they fill? Or do you want them to fill in your office? And then they score. As they come to you, and you are doing all the observation. Because those observation is, and what you are talking is what makes you know the level of anxiety disorder. Normal anxiety or which level? I wanted you to discuss, when I'm through, the various categories. The students who are cheating in exam, and you meet them, how do they behave? Do they come to your offices? Yeah. What do you observe in them? Another one stage matched even committing suicide last semester. Alikuja mpaka akasomersault mpaka anachukua poison. Sasa hawezi, anatoka Mount Elgon. Hawezi kurudi huko na baba alikuwa amewawa. Sasa ni mama tu na mama analima kwa shamba. Sasa aende namna gani? Na mwalimu ananiingilia, nilikuwa nimeiba mtihani, mimi sijaiba. But the thing yes, so these are issues students have. Assault in relationship, they fight every day. They fight mpaka mtoto anarushwa huko. Sini hivyo? Mtoto anarushwa huko na mimi sitaki kujua, kwani nilikwambia uchukue huyo mtoto. So when you handle an anxiety is real in front of you, what are the issues? What are the issues and how do you handle it? Okay? Wengine wanachapwa. I don't know what your experience is. Because it is it the ladies who are accommodating the men? Or it is the men accommodating the ladies? Who is accommodating who? There is a trend of desperation of girls accommodating the boys. There is a trend of desperation of the girls accommodating the boys. Is it true? Tell us. They want to be motherly. Mm. Mothered. Uh-huh. And you can imagine you have given your daughter money and then your daughter is harboring a come we stay. Wanachapwa na wanafukuzwa na watoto. Then grief and loss that we went through. The grief and loss that we went through. Some learners are still hearing screams in their mind as the bus was going down, because the driver had the light on, and the kijana who was at the main road refused to get out of the road. So they were watching death in their face. And our sports director stood up from where he was at the back, as the students tell us. He literally told the students, everybody aweke belt. Kila mtu aweke belt. He was actually commanding them, wekeni belt. Then as he walked and paced, he moved in front, and that is how he perished. The kijana I went for his funeral in Rongo did the same. He was a captain. Then again, he also stood up and he said, kwani ni nini na driver? And the driver had also said, please everybody, mufunge belt, ni kubaya. The brake is not working. So they were already informed. They were alerted and informed that the brake has failed. And now the bus. So when you see that bus moving, it had already failed. Some students are like, mimi sasa I feel like just dying kabisa kwa sababu now my friend is not there. Some, mimi siwezi enda class kwa sababu nikienda class mimi namuona tu hao marafiki zangu. So all defeatism kind of approach that you know. How do we handle all that we've been talking, all these situations? By the way, we closed and we allowed students to go home. Then we all went, we got from the dean's office, we all got attached to bury our students. My school was most hit. 5 of our students perished. So from our school, we all went out burying them. We encouraged, on the practical bit of it, we encouraged burying and students attending for closure purposes. For closure purposes, practical, evidence-based, oriented, as counselors. The Kupca team, the Kenya professional counselors, we worked together. We all sat together, we discussed, and we agreed on evidence-based approach that can help. And some of the things we agreed on was that we allow the students, and we collected money to support the students to go for burial. So wherever they could go. That was one approach that really worked. Others could cry and cry and cry and cry endlessly, even during debriefing. Just cry. Because when will you cry and cry? Just cry and let us put this behind us. Talking therapy was also handy, so that we could allow the student to talk to their loved one. Daisy, we love you so much, you're our hero. Our girl called Daisy took a TikTok about teaching practice just before she left, and told my colleague on the micro-teaching supervisor that I'm going Mwalimu, but I'm coming back to clear my presentation. She had one presentation left. Such a jolly girl and all that. And then her name is Destiny. Destiny. It's not easy talking about them because nimewalea pia. So even me, I was a victim. And for some times, the counselors could not allow me to handle them because I also needed to be handled. Yes. Our destiny was a girl. model of living for destiny and others, the captain and all that, was another evidence-based approach. Now that we have to leave them behind us, how do we want to remember them? What are the good things? Each one was coming up with the model of living, of remembering them in a heroic way, you know? Going to the field was also another one. I personally encountered them. I cross the field as I go to my house. So in the evening, as they practice, I could see them. So one approach was that we had to go to the field to confront the field. Yeah. Walk there, say whatever we could say, you know, and talk to our departed heroes. And just try to, the other was, now that they are gone and you want to die, if we all agreed to die, you know, irrational belief. If we all now we are supposed to die, then what next? Because even our fathers have died, our mothers have died, our beloved sisters have died. But do we have to go with them? Because God has created us to stay and move on and fulfill our part. So CBT, therapy approach, was very handy. Identify and change negative thought patterns in anxiety. Even if it is not grief and loss, every day you fear, we worry all the time. But now, what is the worry? What is the fear? We have to do that, okay? We have to confront that. The behavior that is associated with anxiety. Coping strategies, you have to shift, you have to move there, you have to talk, you have to accept. We went through the grief and loss steps so that the students, and I'll come to that, so that they could understand the steps. We have to challenge the rational thought, and gradually the fear will be gone. The fear of death, the fear of the bus, the fear of the matatu. Mimi nikiingia kwa matatu, si mimi nitakuwa tu nimeenda daktari. Mimi hata sitaki kuona watu. Mimi. I think the first presenter handled fear. That was the case. Exposure therapy, I've talked about it, so that we expose you to that what you fear that brings anxiety and come up with a coping strategy. Medication, daktari, a professor handled from the psychiatrist's point of view. Of course, when anxiety disorder moves to the higher level, antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications come in, selective serotonin. And serotonin is majorly affecting the brain, because the brain is wired in a manner that it affects the amygdala, and emotional level goes high, and therefore calmness is required. The main thing is to calm, make the pressure get calm. So medication is handy there. Mindfulness-based intervention. All the time, you know that MBSR is very handy, because the mediation, just to sit and think, but not negatively, but positively. Mindfulness, positively. Let's shift our focus from that adversity that is coming. It's like you are in that light that is approaching. Do you sit there and wait? We have to move. Can we move? Can our mind move? Can that move? So you have to do the hypnosis approach so that the mind moves. And when we can succeed with the mind moving from that object, which is a problem, then we are moving there. Because gradually we will get there. Yes. Relaxation, we've talked about it. That was important. The day the students came, I faced difficulty because the VC had said no student should come in the university. All students are supposed to be out. Because some students were taking advantage that they want to cause, ban university and do all that. So the best thing was to close the university immediately. But now our students are coming, and the students are at the gate waiting for their beloved ones as they are coming. It is at night. We are not sleeping. I don't know when we took tea. Even the food, the taste of, so you know what I'm talking about. It's working. You are a helper, but you are also getting drained. And if you sit, who will be there? And Winnie is with the executive team at Egerton. It's exhausting. So as they are at the gate and there's clear instruction, the students are not supposed to come in. I said, ata wataruka, wataingia by force. Tupende, tusipende. Normally when we go for sports and our students win, how do you normally feel? Siwa tunaenda, na tunawapokea, na tuna celebrate as we come in. The same thing to these ones. So now it was meeting after the other. And you know the way we fear calling the VC. And you know the way we fear going beyond the instruction. Daktari, unanisikia. You know the way you fear. Because again, protocol. Who are you to call the VC first? Why are you calling the VC? Who are you to call? And here we are. Because I'm always a leader, I say, bring the phone. The students are coming in. You cannot tell us we want to do therapy, and our first therapy are those ones at the gate. And the first therapy are their peers. Kindly allow us to have them in. Then the OCS and the Askaris and the guns. Our place was the guns and these people in their boots. So it's like, Doctor, we have been told the students are not supposed to come in. And I'm like, unajua wewe uko na gun, lakini mimi sina gun. Mimi naongea na wewe na tuko pamoja hapa. This is the Dean of Students office. Sasa, give me that OCS. So, OCS, call him we mwenyewe. Ndiye achukue simu, because hii yangu mimi ni nani? Chukua simu. OCS, afande, you know their protocols. Sasa, wanafunzi wamejaa kwa gate. Wamejaa kwa gate kwa nini? Wanataka nini? Si hiyo shule imefungwa, hawawezi. And then I come in. Excuse me, sir. Saa hizo wako juu. Kindly allow our students to come in. Kwa nini? Wewe ndio nani? Hatuwezi fanya kazi when we don't have our students. They are waiting for their beloved ones. They are harmless. They just want to have their fellow students to come in. Wacha nikuje hapo. So again, they came with all the entourage of all those. And wanafunzi hawataki hizo magans na manini. They came again. So we say, ficheni huko. Kwa gate hapo kuna field. Ficheni tu huko. Ili musitrigger anxiety kwa hawa wanafunzi. They complied. So they came in. Unajua wanafunzi walifanya nini? Waliruka wakapita lile bus wakakuja mbele ya bus. Sasa wakanyage. You can see the level of anxiety that was happening here. Bus ikikuja isimame. Make a step. Commander anasema move. Wakaingia wakaruka juu ya bus. Now wanaenda mos. They did all gymnastics that they could. We took them to our hall, put them in groups, and we worked. Sijui ilikuwa saa 10. As we go to sleep, the counselors, the other group also comes in. Wow, that was it. But we are here breathing. So dialectical behavior therapy is a combination of CBT and mindfulness. You combine the two so that the cognition, the psyche, the mind is all the time being mindful of this person. You know the principles of counseling and the ethical, cause no harm, benevolence. Yes, those ones should be at your fingertip all the time first. They are your first-hand evidence-based approach. Cause no harm. Be mindful. That is what you do. What is that DBT supposed to do? It is supposed to improve interpersonal relationship. This person is having higher anxiety disorder and is in fear state and stigma. Oh, huyu ndiye alikuwa kwa bus. Oh, nini. We need to embrace them immediately so that stigma goes down and good relationship, and they form new relationships. Then we did a lot of group therapy. Group therapy helped us a lot. The moment the students came, all classes, we assigned counselors, including the senior counselors from the Kenya Professional Counseling Association. They came in. Each counselor was given a group of students. If the lecturer was supposed to be there, the lecturer attended with the students, so that in the group, they provided opportunity for sharing experiences. In class, kuna wale hawakukua. And then how do they feel? The now issue, the present, that happened, and now we are here. And you know, haifanyiki tu saa hizo na imeisha. It is a gradual situation, so that they could learn from one another. Manake huyu alikuwa kwa bus huyu, sasa wewe una cope vipi, wewe una feel vipi, daktari amekuona, and things like that. Yes, so they would learn from one another. Some had similar experiences, so they developed supportive relationship, and that helped to reduce isolation and anxiety. Some practical approach was education. So that in the groups where we were in the halls, we taught issues to do with the grief circle, such that now students know. Per class, we went through it. They understood, so I was in denial as I was, and I was angry. And, they understood until we moved down. Now we are accepting. Yes, they understood. We taught them about anxiety, the symptoms, the impact, the causes, and all that. We taught them so that they would understand. If we don't handle this, we will move to depression. And this will be much more difficult to handle. You have a life to go on with. And exam is also waiting. So the students would now decide, do I go for exam? And if I don't go for exam, next semester is coming, and I need to move to my next level. And here I am, I'm stuck. And so is gone. Decision making now. Which one is best for me? We also have to eat. Nourishment. We also have to eat. Because itakuwa shakahola again. Shakahola will just come in because now we have not been denied food, lakini sasa we mwenyewe hautaki. Sasa we pia unataka kwenda vile nani ameenda. You see? Yes. So that kind of. So we taught them the symptoms, all these mental health issues, we learned about them with the students. And then bringing them to handle the now, the here, and all that. Data helped us a lot. I was supposed to share with you shortly, and I'm going to, just a study we are done on the same. And data helps a lot in education. Because even when you are with a client and you are much more informed, you are also dealing with informed people, isn't it? So how do they know that what you are talking about is true? Your language is different because you are a professional counselor. You are a psychologist. And we have psychologists and not counselors. We are aware of that. Yes. I'm a psychologist and a counselor. You have to combine the two to have the language and to practice. Okay? So these people that you are handling today, even in the church, it's no longer that you take a verse and then you magnify and you misinterpret it. Sio tunajua? Manake, what do? They even misinterpret. Something kidogo too, because you are not handling something in totality, in the context, so that the congregation can understand where are you coming from, why are you telling us this, where are we going. So in problem solving and CBT approach, you know that you have to reach a situation where you and the client are moving towards intervention, isn't it? And our evidence-based intervention must be that one that is practical. I thought I'm done, and you are giving me more. So that will help me to share the nini, okay? So data provide prevalence of those affected. When, like now the case of the grief that I'm giving you example, and now me, I just want to die. Now me, I don't want to live anymore. How will I stay without so-and-so? Oh, nani, so. These are the people who went. And these are the people who are in the hospital. This is the number. And in accident cases, this is the number and prevalence. You even have newspaper and you have data with you. So that the mind sinks on what we are dealing with. Then you remember during April hapa, wanafunzi pia wamepata accident. Isn't it? Again, in the universities, every day, wanafunzi wanawawa. Wanafunzi wanawawa. Now what is our role? Evidence-based approach. Our role. Hawa watoto ambapo wanachukuliwa na wanawawa. Ukiwaangalia, they are 20 years old. Ukiwaangalia. In this room, we have representation of university. Na watoto wanatoka kwa hizi universities zetu na wanawawa. Kumaanisha, counselors, let's go back in our departments and sit down and structure ways of trying to educate. Kuna information ambapo tunakosa kupeana. You know, you are a counselor and sometimes the work is overwhelming na unasema, hata ni wakubwa wenyewe wanajua what they are doing. Somewhere at the back of your mind, you give up. Lakini mimi am urging you, ama mnaonaje? Si unaona mapicha ya hawa watoto wasichana wanasema waliwawa wapi, sijui alikuwa wapi, na alikuwa wapi, na amedisappear. Another thing I noticed, these students of ours, when they got the tragedy, their parents don't know. Hawajui. Kwa nini hawajui? Manake they are adults. They'll tell those they want to tell. Tunaenda sijui Masai Mara, tunaenda sports, tunaenda wapi. Isn't it? But family, wewe mama, anakuambia ati mami sisi tunaenda huko. They don't tell you. Hata daddy sijui tumeenda, they don't tell you. So I'm urging you that go back in your department and think, maybe apply our approach. Apply our approach. Use the counselors you have and try to reach as many classes as you can and do psychoeducation support and use data so that you give information, the magnitude of the problem, cite relevant studies so that you have intervention that works. Use visual aids. Visual aids is very important because you don't talk much, lakini unaonyesha. How someone, when we are dealing drug abuse, we show that picture. Now that picture is used because it scares someone automatically. Kwani nikichukua alcohol na they had drugs nitaka hivi, mguu hakuna, kichwa iko namna gani, the heart, si hivyo? Yes, we were also teaching because we were having the Manila papers and the slides and whatever, and we were teaching. So we know that even in our offices we do that. Engage the client in session. Provide support and follow up all the time. We know that up to now we are still following up. Daktari, I don't know whether your group is still following some of us because you had a close relationship with some of our students. Yes, the Egerton counselors. I know our students have that clause because once you have handled a client, they all the time refer to you. So do that, homework assignments that we normally do. Individualized intervention, apart from group, the individualized intervention approach. And the purpose is to increase the client ownership. The client has to own. Yes, we are going through anxiety disorder in this state and what have you. Luckily, the client has to own the problem. Collaborative goal setting, because we had to work with each individual. What is the way forward from here? So that when you work together with the client, then they come up with, I think I want to go home. When I come back, I'll do my exam. I think for me, I want to settle down. I'll work it out to go to the field every day for a week and walk around, and that will be over for me, and I'll move on. So discuss that. Then demonstrate techniques. We all the time say, when you go home, do talking therapy. But does the client know what you're talking about? When you tell the client, relax, alafu namwambia client, weka hapa alafu relax. Evidence-based approach requires that you participate on that therapy with the client. Go through with it. So that when we are relaxing, okay, the technique you want to do, relax with the client and do it. Okay? Solution-focused brief therapy. This is goal-focused, okay? Because you are looking at the specific situation and you set goals. It enhances optimism, being positive. A research which was done by Franklin, a study in 2016, showed that these techniques demonstrate positive result. Positive, you can apply it. Solution-focused brief therapy. It helps to bring positivity in life. Interpersonal psychotherapy. IPT deals with the interpersonal issues, and it also helps. So there is the interconnectivity with the mental health issues in totality, interpersonal psychotherapy. It's a goal-oriented. It helps to remove the dispute. You know, some of us are full of conflict 24 hours. Umetoka kwa hii, mkubwa amefanya, na sasa nioni vizuri sana. Mami pia nipendi sana. Sijui nani pia hakunipenda nini. And so anxiety level is just multiple. Interpersonal psychotherapy technique will help. The purpose is for someone to understand how the problems operating in their current life circles lead them to distress, and we want to get away from that distress so that we have eustress instead of the distress element. It improves our perception. The way we solve problems is the way we perceive the world. If we perceive the world negatively, then we are negative about people, we are negative about things, and we are pessimistic. And that. Now, where is the... Someone was to help me here. Amenda wapi? Just because it is evidence-based, yuko wapi? Huyo mtu wa IT? I want to use the short time. Okay, let me look for it. Where's there's that other which you had brought? Ulipoteza, I'll get it. Just to share with you shortly. Is it this one? Show it. Yes, just show this. Okay. Together with what I've just presented, I wanted to share with you the outcome. This study was analysis, a qualitative analysis, and I'm showing it because I've handled evidence-based, and that is research. I've taken the paradigm shift of research to share the anxiety existence and anxiety handling in as far as evidence-based approach is concerned. The analysis that was done here was between the corona time. So 2019 to 2022. And the studies, we wanted to see how many people in Kenya have done up studies in mental health and anxiety. And so I want to run to findings. That was this was the collection. We used Google Engine, and the studies had 2021 to 2022. 7 studies matched the selection criteria. Studies targeting Kenyan university students, and studies carried out from 2021 to 2022. And the technique of analysis was qualitative. And these are the results. The common mental health issues, as you can see, I want you just to focus on the issues of anxiety. You can see. This is among students in the university. So in the forum and where we presented this work, the question was, counselors and psychologists in the university wanafanya kazi lakini bado. As you can see, the magnitude of what is disturbing them, depression, anxiety, and those are the common mental health issues. Then the mental health issues, and you can see that the people, African Nazarene, Kenya Methodist University, University of Nairobi, and the people who did those studies, and the results of their findings. These are the issues that are affecting the students. University of Nairobi, changes in sleeping patterns, sadness, anxiety, frustrations. First-year students face multiple difficulties. Relation problem, emotional, you know. Na wanatoka nyumbani wamekuja. So the question is asking, tunafanya nini kwa university? Sijui kama hapo tuko pamoja. The collaborative findings from common mental health issues of students, you can see the magnitude of percentage. Anxiety, depression, stress. Si tuko na kazi? We are dealing with evidence-based approach. Common mental health. Mental health challenges. Huyo ni Dr. Jenga. Depression, anxiety. Dr. Murithi, anxiety, panic, chirchir. And you can see where they are coming from. Adoyometer. Real studies in Kenya universities. And the authors, you can see them. Depression, anxiety, panic adjustment, depression, sadness, anxiety, 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 anxiety. And that is why the theme of this workshop is anxiety. Mental health challenges. These are the issues that are disturbing the students. And desired causes. Na wanafunzi wako hapa. And sijui kama wamekuwa forced. And desired causes. Sijui wana change. You remember that when the students come, they are given lead time, change. Now even when they change, they are still forced with what they don't want. So others say, mi nasomea daddy, nasomea mami. Na for 4 years, mwanafunzi anasoma, na amebeba burden, nawe unalipa fee. Alafu sasa sisi at the university you are supposed to handle that student. Sasa utahandle nini na inatakana asome na asomi kile anapenda? Hasomi kile anapenda. Undesired because virtual learning, we changed during Corona. All of a sudden tukaingia laptop, tukaingia digital, tukaingia. Lakini mwanafunzi hana simu. Hizi simu hii hana, bundle hana, laptop hana. Majority of students in public universities ni wale wametoka Geshagi in the rural. Mama hana, ameenda kwa shamba. Alafu tunataka awe na laptop, pesa ngapi? Alipe fee ama anunue laptop. Tunataka aende class. That was the issue. Exam anxiety was another one. New environment was another one. Helplessness. Watoto wao wako helplessness situation. I'm delaying you. Okay. Then meeting new people. I'm delaying you, but I hope I'm sharing with you what you needed to see. Okay. Then there you are. Mental health services. The services you are offering to the students are summarized there, but are they effective? Another research needs to be done to look at the effectiveness. Dr. Lillian. Another research needs to be done to look at the effectiveness of the services that we are offering. The effectiveness. Because if the level of anxiety disorder iko juu, and then correlation with the office, is it effective? Na alafu watoto wanawawa, wanaenda wapi, hawajui kule wanaenda, kwa hivyo kuna shida. There's a gap. Coping mechanism. How are students coping? Because it is research and evidence-based, and they are taking from students, wanafunzi wanasema wanakop kivipi na anxiety disorders and all that. They are taking drugs. That is their coping mechanism to help anxiety. They are being part of support groups, so they join peer counselors and all that, like these ones. That particular study did not give, so I've written none. Internet use for mood elevation. All the time in the universities unapata spot areas where wanafunzi wameenda wanakaa. So the energy is sent there to handle the anxiety. So the mood elevation. That one did not give. This one said social media is their way, reading books, hobbies, spiritual activities, UCU, so they pray a lot, and alcohol. Okay, so you can see in terms of preferences, coping mechanism used in terms of preferences and the standard deviation. The research gaps, which were identified by those very studies, there are some studies that did not give any further research, but others gave. For those who still want to do research, this is a good tool for you to pick when you are thinking of doing, and supervisors are readily available also in the room, and they can work with you very closely, wherever you will be. Okay. That was the conclusion. The studies carried out between 2021 and 2022, those studies, they provide insight to the prevalence of mental health, measures put in place, coping mechanism, and the depression and all that are heightened. And recommendation, we need to do mainstreaming, so I've recommended we go to our departments and discuss further mechanisms on how we can mainstream. When I'm talking about classes, I'm talking about find how the whole university, stream by stream, and the number of counselors you have. So that this, suicidal cases that we have is coming as a result of anxiety and depression. So you have a lot of work to do there. Then accelerate and diversify mental health services. We have services. Is it in one spot? We have psychologists and counselors in various departments. Can we have departmental representatives also in those faculties who are working together with your department, pointer people? Then with that, because they are closer to the students, they work closer with the chair of department. And with that, we can be able to help the students. Then further researches into mental health matters amidst recent changes in the globe and the coping mechanisms that needs to be done. I end there, and references are there for your work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Anika. Alice, that was a very wonderful presentation, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Sasa tunataka kumpea flowers, but we will get these presentations. We will gather all the presentations that have been done in this workshop, and we will post to the members. So don't worry about not having gotten anything. So wacha tumpee flowers. Let's pick the flowers. We will pick different colors, and when I say you give, you clap to her, okay? Let's pick red roses. Anika, we are giving you red roses because we love you. So pick the roses, pick them, let's give her. Thank you. We are giving her pink roses because she's a girl. Sweet 16. Pick. The pink roses, let's give her. Thank you. We are giving her white roses. Because of what? She's pure. Mm-hmm. Pick the white roses to pay. Thank you. And finally, we are giving her yellow roses. Pick the yellow roses. She's an assertive woman. You have seen the way she's asserted herself. Even after I gave her papers of time, she continued. Pick the roses. Let's give her. Thank you, Daktari. Now, for your information, Dr. Nika has been a vice chair of Kupca before. So those of you who are just coming in, you may not know she's been here for a long time. I was a vice chair at some point. She came in as a vice chair after me. That's what she was saying here. And now it is your time to take over from us. So having said that, we still have one more speaker. I just want us to stand up so that we stretch. Meanwhile, Dr. Marlon, you can be coming. So let us stretch. We want to pick this apple that is up here. Stretch kabisa. You're not stretching. Let me see whoever is not stretching. Caroline Lelo. Stretch. Pick the apple. Reach where it is. Pluck it. And give it to the person next to you. And tell them, thank you for being at this conference. Asanteni. Mm-hmm. We can now sit down. Now, in our midst, we have none other than Dr. Marlon Juma of Baraton University. He's going to take us through self-care strategies for management of anxiety. He has a wealth of experience in the area of anxiety and trauma management. And I don't want to say more about him. I want him to tell us about himself before he begins his presentation. So, karibu daktari.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Doc Lillian, Chair. It's nice to have Madam Lillian, speak and speak and speak. Thank you so much. What could I say about myself? Yes, I'm part of this university. I've actually been in Kenya, working in Kenya for a maximum of now 6 years. I've spent most of my time outside Kenya. I studied, I've been in Uganda, I've been in the Philippines, and most of the time I'm out. But we're glad to have our team from this university, Madam Lois, who's in charge of counseling. We work very closely together. We have several deans who were introduced yesterday, even our students who are here. I'm a pastor, psychologist, counselor, mentor, and a trainer of trainees in several aspects, using my journey to recovery, which is a version of AA, as well as a trainer of people who would like to work in specialized centers, correctional, including hospital, including military and schools. And so those of us who are chaplains in our midst, what qualifies you to be called a chaplain is a component called CPE, Clinical Pastoral Education. Just like businessmen have CPA, accounting, right? Like we have CPA for accountants. Now, CPE is for chaplains. And for reverend, you explained the other day that you have issues with male-dominated ministry. One area that will give you the capacity to do your pastoral duties without rubbing shoulders with male domination is chaplaincy. And I would be glad to have you on board. What is this all about? We deal with the emotions and spirituality. Very interesting. Madam, I think that's enough for our listeners today. And thank you for those who are watching. Now, a few more minutes. Now, let me know how much time I have so that I know the speed. By 1:30. Super. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I'll move very fast. Madam Adegu, please. Some people might not know you. Mrs. Adegu is part of our team. She was here yesterday. She just joined us. I know they are very, very busy now that I'm here, but I'm glad. Thank you. Let's do some quiz. Self-care strategies. Very interestingly. And I've used a verse, by the way. I've used a verse. We come into that. Let's do some quiz. Now, this is from Kabianga. This question is for Kabianga. Guys from Kabianga? Thank you. Here's a question. Those of us who are at the Easter, you can remember, right? What can you never eat for breakfast? Kabianga? Up to the count of 5, we give it to someone else. Kabrak, be ready. Kabianga, Kabrak. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's taken over to Kabrak. Kabrak, what? Let's see, Kabrak. Reverend, I'm with you. Yes. What can you never eat for breakfast? 5. Okay, fish. Fair trial. Another attempt? You don't know another one? And last one? Yes? Chicken. What you can never eat for breakfast is actually lunch and dinner. Yeah. Masinde Mliro. Masinde Mliro, where are you? All right, sister. Very simple. What looks like half an apple? It's the other half. Correct. Let's clap for her, by the way. Now, where do I go? Edgerton. We have a big team from Edgerton. Where are you guys from Edgerton? Where are you? I know you are more than 6 or so. Thank you. Here's a question. Here's a question for, not for Madam Chair. No. Let's say Madam Chair. If you throw a red stone in a blue sea, what will it become? If you throw red color, right? A stone. Hey. A red stone, colored red, in a blue sea, what will it become? Edgerton? A stone, yes. S-T-O-I-G-W. It will become a stone. It will become red and blue. It becomes red. Friends, it will become wet. And lastly, this is now jackpot. Whoever can pick that. Madam Adegu, let's have some bread or ice cream for such people, right? A buffalo, big 5 in Kenya, big 5 in Masai Mara. The buffalo is known to have much hair on one side of the body. A buffalo, is not to have much hair on one side, Which side is that? Anyone? Buffalo. Like a cow, a bull. Much hair on one side. University of Nairobi. My brother, I'm glad you're here. Which side is that? Yes. A buffalo is known to have much hair on one side. Which side is that? Let's try University of Nairobi. I said jackpot, but University of Nairobi. Again? You have no idea? A neighbor. Mwai from Turkana. Masai Mara. Where's Masai Mara? Hey, Masai Mara. Friends. The answer is outside. Yes. Yes. Outside. Yeah, I'm done with that. So that was just an ice, Let's get into the thing. I want to rush through some of the strategies, and they have already been mentioned. But I want to move move away from the conventional that have been mentioned right in this place. Let's look at yourself. Look at the work environment. Look at the news, whether we have Shakahola or Ukraine, all right? They cause apprehension in people's lives, whether it's career-related, or simply family. We would have issues with the family right away, right? And many others. But look at yourself. All these are impacting on you. Can food cause anxiety? Can social media cause anxiety? What about insomnia? Lack of recreation, can that cause? And how good are you in this, including spirituality? How good are you in that? So let's quickly run through some of these things as we go through now. Let's see whether we can rush through. Okay, thank you. This period between 2000 and 2016 is a terrible age. In terms of religious, we are now dealing with lots of mushrooming cults, right? In terms of technology, we are now dealing with the fourth industrial revolution, right? Yes? Fourth IR. And our children who are single right now, I don't know what the destiny can be. And so we have issues. Now look at VUCA world. Look at the environment. VUCA, V is volatile, U is uncertain, C is complex, and A is ambiguous. Look, I looked at the contributions to global anxiety, corruption, government officials, cyber terrorism, attacks, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Contributing, even without being in school. The people we're receiving in schools as first years, they already have higher levels of what? Anxiety, added to the school environment. Look at biowarfare, economic collapse, running out of money, including personal future, right? Credit card. Where do we go? Fourth industrial revolution. We can't emphasize enough on that. But I'm just talking about those of us who are still single and you want to get married in the future. How about getting married to a robot? How about getting married to a robot? Just think about that. So where will you go for counseling, all right? With a robot? With a robot? All right. Privacy issues. Can we hide anymore? Isn't that causing anxiety to some people? Because you're being watched, all right? Some big eye. The Baganda call that liso dene. They're watching. Anxiety, even after COVID, all over. And women, higher. Okay, Hawthorne effect, you know that? A little bit in the introduction to psychology, look at that. When you are being observed, what happens? You change behavior, right? So those of us from Naivasha, is it Naivasha? Gilgil, eh? and there is somewhere you slow down. People behave, right? Even those of you who will be driving, you will behave when you reach there. Why? Somebody's observing you, right? And so you behave. Now come over to religious atmospheres where we watch our young people. What happens? They look good. But give them an opportunity in their habitat. You see their true colors. And so things are happening all around. Let's go to, of course, no hiding. Satellites are all over, and what they're causing. Now, privacy is a human right. We now need general data protection regulation, to help. And you know what's happening? Even with our phones, we have no privacy. All the messages with your ex can still be retrieved. I'm just showing you how far people have gone. Personal information that's collected and shared, all right? It has to do with, comes in with the security. What about terrorism? Of course, the last one was the other one, September 11. But we are interested in this area. 3 general types of terrorist motivation. This was after a whole seminar we had with the special forces on terrorism, psychological. And when you have issues of terrorism, what do we have? Anxiety. Even without coming to schools, the world around is terrible. Now, look at the differences. Now, these are some of our notes. We've been talking about anxiety and fear. DSM-5, right? Fear is vague and conflictual. Now, when you talk about unknown, then we have big issues that will always come in our lives. Can I take a simple test with us? I want to take a test with you. Can we do that together? Let's do some tests together. So let's have these. Just 9 questions. 7 questions. Let's do some candid test together. I'll read the questions. Simply answer. Let's see our level, Reverend. Because I'm coming over. Prepare me some 3 verses, all right? You guys, prepare me some 3 verses because I'm coming to you in a short way. Question number 1. Look at the key. This is what Professor said yesterday, remember? 0, 1, 2, 3. Please just have space for 7 questions. I'll read for you for those who can't see well because of the small print. Remember, you have the 4 columns, and we're going to total up, down. So now question number 1. Please, the key is not at all. The key, several days, more than half the days, or nearly every day. So you will simply put the number, or simply 1, 2, 3, circle whichever. Are we clear on that? This is what we do for others. Now let's do that ourselves. Number 1, you feel nervous, anxious, or on the edge. That's over the last 2 weeks. How often have you been bothered by the following problems? Over the last 2 weeks. Feeling nervous, anxious, or on the edge. If not at all, circle that. If several days, use 1. More than half the days, 2. If it's nearly every day, have 3. Question number 2. Not over the last 2 weeks, how often have you been bothered by not being able to stop or control worrying? Not being able to stop or control worrying. Is it 0? Is it 1, 2, or 3? Number 3, worrying too much about different things, including coming over to the seminar. Give yourself a number. Is it 0? Is it 1? Is it 2, 3, or 4? Number 4, during the past 2 weeks, you've had trouble relaxing. Trouble relaxing. Trouble relaxing. Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? Question number 5. Being so restless that it's hard to sit still. ADHD. Being so restless that it's hard to sit still at all. Number 6. Becoming easily annoyed or irritable. And number 7, Becoming easy. Number 7, feeling afraid as if something awful might happen. Now that you've known, you've put the columns. What? Of course, this will give you 0, right? What about the column of 1? Add them. 2, 3, then get the sum total. The sum. You should get between 0 and what? Then 21. Your score should be between 0 and 21. So if you have more, then you're out of range. That's an outlier, right? Statistics. Whichever score. Madam Chair, with your permission, allow me to have hands up. How many of us have scored between 5 and 9? 5 and 9. 5, specifically 5 and 9. Between 5 and 9. Thank you. Between 10 and 14. Thank you. 15 and above. We have good news, Madam Chair. Those between 5, of course, below 4 is negligible. 5 and 9, that's mild anxiety. It's normal, right? 10 and 14, moderate anxiety. So they are on the verge to slip to go over to severe, which is 15 and above. All right, thank you. Now, regardless of the etiology of the disorder, I've looked at the nature controversy, biological and then biochemical. Then in the area of nature, my dear friends, we have psychoanalytic, where we have ego defenses. We talked about that. Behavioral, existential, social, then cognitive. Today, Madam from Pwani gave us several interventions. Yes, we have CBT, we have exposure therapy, we have medication, we have mindfulness, we have relaxation, including group therapy. Dear friends, I might not talk about any of those. I will not. I want to talk about other things. Very quickly, there are 10 of them. Pick what you can for your practice. Let me challenge you to come back to the root cause. What is it? What is it? Is it about the future? Is it about your own life? Finances? Relationships? What are they? So, using what Freud borrowed from Gustav Fechner. Of course, we know it very well. What's that? Surface it. And whatever you are seeing above, we have something in between. So can you probe in your own life what is triggering anxiety? It needs sometimes to get deeper into ourselves. Identify your triggers, relaxation techniques, question your patterns of thoughts. I'm interested in journaling. Talk it out. Talk it out, right? Journaling. We need to have stories about this therapy next time we meet. How are you doing in terms of overcoming it? So that we don't have to rely on European literature. We have our own African contextualized literature. Look at the next one here, Madam Chair. Change spaces. Thank you for coming over. Madam, Sister Susan was saying it's good to come over to Baraton because of the serene. The serenity is cold, it's green all over. People, my dear friends, change is as good as what? Take a break for yourself. Without even having a whole team going out. Take a break, go to Masai Mara. Treat yourself. Why should you only be treated when there is a birthday party? Treat yourself some other day. Treat yourself, spoil yourself. One way to release what? Keep active, eat well. Spend time in nature, just around, because there's something powerful from nature. Hey, go for a massage. I'll be talking about that, I think point number 6. Massage has power. Has what? Power. I said massage. I didn't go sauna yet. Dear friends, next time we have Kupca, let's go to Uganda. Let's go to where? To Uganda. It was a treat to go out of the normal wordings and phrases of Kenya. And if you do that, you remember I'm putting on something from Uganda, all right? Let them see. This is right from Uganda, all right? It tells you we're already connected, all right? And if we want, we can do that. The third one, Madam Chair will connect, go over and meet the Kupca equivalent in Uganda. So, practice. Let me come to something else now for us. Utilize the what? Therapeutic touch. Can you imagine? Not MODBT, but just touch. Of course, science gives us a lot more. I'll put that right in here. Very interestingly. Of course, with the homeostasis, and that through homeostasis, we release almost 3,000 calories of body heat, enough heat or energy to boil over 20 liters of water. And yet, our skin can be destroyed by deodorants with aluminum, components, because we suppress perspiration. But nerve receptors give it the perceptive abilities in as much, as well as what? Pleasure and pain. Just a little bit on that. We told that touch has a wonder working power on the human body to cause pleasure and relieve anxiety. And the same touch can make wheat and barley grow greener and taller. Evidence-based. I mean, madam, we're there. This very, very touch makes people what? More generous, more nurturing, more collaborative, and more grateful. Creates people, all of which make people good partners, parents, friends, and co-workers. So we need to hold hands much more. Hello? So for those of us spouses, your hug is very therapeutic. Apart from just doing that for our clients, know that you're actually treating yourself. Because you're producing the hormone, oxytocin, which is actually a bonding hormone or a love hormone in an unsexual, environment. You're doing much more to yourself. So, sister, when you find somebody and it's convenient, go all the way. Engage your other senses. We're talking about skin to relieve, as a strategy to relieve what? Anxiety. Engage other senses. What about the nose? Did you know how that can work out? By the way, if you lose 3 senses out of the 5, it's always an indicator of death in the next 5 years. True. Loss of what? 3 senses out of the 5 is always an indicator of death, literature-based, in the next 5 years. Yes. Now, lavender and oil into just on the wrist or even in the nose will do much more for you. Music therapy. Non-conventional, right? Music. Huh? How many are in favor that we give Madam President time to do something? Yes, it's not now. She's coming. I would a little bit deviate from the normal Because when we talk about music, people think that R&B is also part of music that's therapeutic. People still think that jazz and reggae are still pieces of music good for the body. No. In the DNA of a human being is encoded the musical element, and that is Baroque or 4x4 time signature. So anything that goes contrary to the time signature 4/4, you're actually disturbing the entire system. So not every other music is good for you. Again? Music. Psychiatric is using psychiatric treatment for severe what? Conditions, schizophrenia, depression, anxiety, and personality disorder. Including used by young people for mood management. Yes, improved symptoms of schizophrenia such as anxiety, social functioning, cognitive. Improved by what? Music. So you're getting into pharmacology, right? Which will make you, sorry for my friends who are here, which will make you a slave. Let's go away from most of them. Look, therapeutic. Pain in conjunction with anesthesia or pain medication. It reduces, anxiety during labor. You remember labor? No wonder those, Madam Jane, midwifery as a science, we no longer allow wives to come alone to the maternity ward. We want somebody to accompany them. Yes, the husband. If not, the significant other. Why? There is that touch. There is that touch that works miracles. So those of us who are yet to get married, when your time comes, carry your spouse. Those of you who are traumatized, sorry. Because they're the causes, all right? But in the natural setup, something good will happen. We can go on, comes dating, all through. We can go on. Since music can increase or lower the heartbeat or pulse and blood pressure, then it's still good for what? As therapy during anxiety. Let me rush to exercise. 3 types: aerobic, flexibility, and what? Strength. Let's move away from the conventional. People think people who have no money no cash, people who have no cash to ride motorized transport would always tease us that they are doing exercise because they have gotten a chance to walk. Yet they're only covering a problem of what? Lack of what? Finance. It must be very intentional. And my brain must be told that it's now a time for what? For exercise, to benefit. So whether you are doing aerobics or strength or whatever, remember, my dear friends, it has much more. In addition, just to what we know, you can do 15 minutes running, powerful enough. Basketball, swimology, swimming, even raking, even brisk walking, volleyball, whatever you can is good for us. Dear friends, next time we plan, Brother Francis, include some of the exercises in our program so that we don't have to amass some weight because of this. And when we go back, we continue sitting much more. Let's now be very holistic. If this can relieve the anxiety, why should you go back with your anxiety? Now, something else. We talked about the heart rate, a range. You remember yesterday we talked about a range? The human pulse is between 60 and what? 100. For that exercise to be very useful, we're looking at THR, target training heart rate, based on age. So if you are 20 to 24, look at your range per minute for your heart to benefit. So if you're just walking and your pulse is lower than this, nothing will happen in your system. But then, if you exercise much more Even when you are 50 to 54, your range is 102 to 136, it can actually come down to 120 because your system is fluid enough. And when blood moves through the system, my dear friend, you feel relieved and calm. We can't talk about the pitfalls, but just mention the FIT, frequency, intensity, and what? How many times minimum? 3 times minimum. What about intensity? How many more minutes? 25 to 45, even 1 hour, right? What about the time? Morning hours, right? Very interestingly, get that. So we're talking strategy is on exercise. Don't leave that out. Another strategy, my dear friend, has to do with what? Beware what you eat. Now, I'll stay a little here to emphasize a few things that are amazing. How can rice you've eaten raise or lower anxiety or cause anxiety? Can one explain that? How can the food you've eaten, what's the correlation between food and anxiety? Anyone? The time, the duration, right? So eating between meals is a problem, right? Because you need to give a body time to digest. The element of time, huh? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Time element. Any other? Can I mention? Yes, sir. Hmm. It's the second. Thank you. Absorption. Are you seeing what that language? Are you getting that language? We're now in another level. Let's give him a clap, my dear friends. That's where we are, my dear friends. Food eaten has the smallest elements, amino acids, right? When they are absorbed into the bloodstream, either increase or lower the levels of neurotransmitters. And that changes the chemistry in the blood.
Self-esteem.
It's causing anxiety because, sorry, let's speak it out. It's causing anxiety because our taste buds are used to that. But if your taste buds will get used to this type of food, you will actually struggle to go to the other one. It's very true. Those of us, Reverend, you remember Daniel and the other boys? Why do you think they refused that food and they went to this other one? Why? Baba, certain foods may also reduce stress and anxiety. Eating a healthy diet, high in fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, whole grains, and health fats can help decrease stress and anxiety and boost mood and self-esteem. That's why you remember the biblical narrative in Daniel. And all Christians say, I wanted to find out more on this food. Studies have shown the influence of nutrients and specific foods on an individual's psychological, neuro, and psychological stress response. Look at this literature. 2, all through, 13, all through. A lot of it. And what are they saying? High-fat feeding increases what? High-fat meals were shown to exacerbate detrimental or traumatic ANS and cardiovascular responses to stress. Polysaturated fat intake can diminish stress-induced cardiovascular responses. Omega-3 fatty acid consumption normalized normal low cortisol responses to a lot of literature. You'll find that in your notes. So, can we therefore agree that you can harness anxiety through food? Yes? I want to convince you that beginning today you'll be very selective in what to eat. You'll be what? Selective on what you choose for food. Let me come to religious areas. In other words, you can spoil people through food, right? Reverend. Do you see why Esau lost his birthright? Huh? Do you remember the story in Exodus chapter 32 where Aaron led Israel into idolatry? They had eaten and they were dancing. So music together and food. Terrible combination. Do you know why Herod, when he saw Salome dancing during his birthright, he had to promise half the kingdom to a girl. Why? Food had gotten and music. Do you know why the Hebrew boys were 10 times wiser? Now you know the secret, right? And Daniel chapter 5, Belshazzar, there was dancing, music, and food. You can change a whole generation through music and food. So beware what you eat. I know. So. Look, omega fats. We now told that depression, anxiety could have a problem if you are malnourished with omega-3. And so eat food items that have what? Omega-3. Zinc is good. Zinc is good and can be found in, beans, nuts, hot egg yolk, fresh ginger root, and pumpkin seeds. And men, pumpkin seeds are good. They work like Viagra. Talk about these things. When someone was talking about hysteria, which was removed from DSM-5, the Botswana had issues with I want to use the old word, hysteria among schools, ladies, girls' schools. And so they tapped on my schoolmate to do research on hysteria. They call it mass hysteria. And that gave me an opportunity to partner with her to write a lot more for the government in Botswana. Then among the variables was time of sleeping. Not the duration, but what? Time of sleeping. Even when you sleep, either will increase or lower anxiety. And it was found out that people who slept 2 hours before midnight benefited from sleep than those who slept after midnight. Still, research says, Madam Chair, that we need to learn to sleep at the same time each day of the week to benefit from sleep. A change in the sleeping time will destabilize the circadian what? Rhythm. And you will not benefit from what? From the sleep. So, is that a strategy for you? Therefore, we can do something. This is a fast-moving world, and this information might look out of range when we look at how much time we are putting to feed our families, all right? And do research. As a spouse, as a worker, as a HOD, you have so much to do. Self-care means that you love yourself first before you love other people. Let me put it this way. Reverend, love your neighbor as. Dear counselors and psychologists, as we put in so much time to help other people's children, take time with your own children. And as we help other people become psychologically well, take time to be psychologically well yourself. And that takes in what we call self. Have enough sleep, my dear friends. Put it 10 o'clock. Switch off your phone. My brother, even if you have your phone ringing all through, who told you? They will replace you the moment they put you to the grave. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, meeting seat. Don't we know that? Now, it's like we are teaching bad manners, eh? Self-care means you are putting boundaries to safeguard your own territory. These phones that send away sleep, the blue light, it's dark and you are busy on your WhatsApp. A counselor, right? A psychologist. Blue light will send away sleep. You'll have insomnia, right? You know that. Have boundaries. Self-care, have boundaries. Have boundaries. Boundaries, 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 boundaries. Every organ works on what? Rest, work cycle. Work, rest, cycle. Let's begin from what we know. Leo Vygotsky from Russia, he came up with what we call ZPD, right? What is ZPD for? Zone of development. Thank you. Known to the unknown. Photosynthesis, when is it made? During day or night? During? Because? And at night what happens? What do plants give? They give out what? Hello? Oxygen, right? So don't put plants. That's when we know you don't put plants into the building because your oxygen, there's some imbalance somewhere. Anyway, come back to the work-rest cycle. Our eyes require work-rest cycle. That's why you need to blink. Naturally, that's blinking. But at times we need to wipe our ears. But I'm interested in the major organs. Every cell in the body follows that rest work cycle. The heart muscles, they rest for 1/10 of a second. Short of that, you die. The kidney works on 3 shifts. There is rest, there is standby, and there is work. You've seen the dialysis process. Missing any, if you put everything at work, your body fails. And since our bodies are mechanisms that are also naturally built wonderfully and what? Fearfully made. Self-care dictates that we now regulate our rest cycle as well. Don't take it lightly. What about the stomach? What about the stomach? 5 hours at least should elapse between each meal. 5 hours. Can you remember those of us who have been... you remember lunchtime comes at noon and breakfast is always at what time? Why do you think so? That it comes at 12 or 1. Exactly 5 hours, right? But the sedentary lifestyle has made it so easy that we have snacks in between. And we feel comfortable because we have paid, right? But sometimes you can do and make sure that your body, your stomach has also enough time to... Just like we give time to the heart. We give time to the kidney. So give time to... Give your stomach what? A break.
What about fasting?
Yeah. We have many things to say about fasting, but it's also good. It's actually therapeutic. Am I right on that? But remember, we are using it for a purpose. We have cults that have taken that to another level. Every good thing can be abused. So that's abuse, but it's good. That's why you're keeping your body. Right. Beware of what? Mass media. Research was done. Look at the themes. Globally. Look at the themes in music, television, movies, advertisements. Look at the number one theme, the S word. Look at number 2, the V and D, violence, drug. Now, our young people are all everywhere, right? And what happens eventually when somebody is left? Anxiety comes in. Am I right on that? We have many things to talk about. But allow me just mention on this here. Of course, the effects of that, we have many. This is also literature-based. Adverse effects upon the spiritual pursuits, and increases pleasure, and mood swings when people have a lot of time in there. We can speak many more things. What about your spirituality? Is it a strategy? Is it a strategy? Okay, let me now rely on men and women of color. I know you already, so give us a verse that talks about anxiety. Yes. Don't mention 1 Peter 5:7. Okay. It says, rest. Thank you. Now, this is the religious domain. I'll come to those of us who don't believe God at all. I'll come to that shortly. But this is now there's rest, right? Rev, go. They. Yes. Just paraphrase. Yes. Thank you. Let's go. And be known. Very interesting. And that word when it says, and the peace of God shall guard. That word guard is military word. It means garrison. You can imagine a whole garrison of the peace of God coming over to guide your small mind. Powerful. Yes, let's go. Yes. Very interestingly. University of Nairobi. I know you're a member of CITAM. Let's go. Anything? Any verse you can paraphrase? I'm coming. There's a hand. Yes, Jude. Okoth, yes. Yes. There's a rest for Adventists, right? Anyone who's an Adventist, there is what? The Sabbath, right? A rest. Very interestingly. Yes, sister. Oh, okay. The word rejoice. And that word, for those of you, some Greek, the word rejoice there is like the diaphragm dancing. Yes, sister, from Kisi. Hey, look at that. These are powerful. And all of you have verses. Now, what happens? What happens when you read such verses? Let's go to two organs in the human body. The cingulate system. The cingulate system and the nucleus accumbens, NACC. Its research shows that when human beings have a lot of activities in the cingulate system, stress and anxiety is higher. But spirituality, mingling with that very part organ, reduces the activity in the cingulate system. So the lower the number of activities, the more calm you are. And that's why religious people are known to be better copers with what? Grief. That's how it happens. Look at the birds. Am I convincing somebody? Number 10, which is the last one. Message to go to the relevant cortex. When it comes back here, it has a different output. Now, I'm trying to explain emotional intelligence from this side. Now, watch at how I'm going to move it together. We receive a lot of sensation from all the stimuli from all the senses. The amygdala is for emotions and aggression. Thalamus, the relay center for sensory information. Let me use a better picture and explanation. Why did I go here? Okay, let me go back. It means that anything that comes through the eyes to the thalamus can either come to the amygdala, so you have A, B, and C. What comes out here is an emotional action. You can still have another extended center, A, B, C, D. If it can go to C, what comes out here will be balanced. It will have cognitive input. How do you define a feeling? A feeling is a mood with a cognitive input. Not disorders, that is. Let's go further. The prefrontal cortex, which is that bigger part of your brain, which is responsible for those functions, including your personality. You know why God gave us that bigger part? Look, among the cats, what percentage is that? 3%. The dogs, what percentage is that? Around 7%. The chimpanzees, what percentage is that? 16%, right? What about humans? What percentage is that? 34%. In other words, we have the capacity even to regulate the emotions. It's this guy called Melgosa who wrote in 2011 that although man is rational, he's much more so emotional. And we can say that emotions rule. Come over. You're in the garden and you see a pafada. From visual, it goes to the thalamus. From thalamus, it can come over to the amygdala, and you begin running immediately. Or it can go over to the visual cortex. We have input there to try to assess the type of snake, whether it has a V head or round head, to differentiate poisonous from what? And non-poisonous. And several things are happening all through. Yes, there is danger. The hypothalamus activates the sympathetic nervous system. Your brain injects adrenaline and something happens immediately. Let's go further. Let's go further. It comes over. The visual cortex tells the brain, my friend, run. All snakes are dangerous. And for those who have phobia, aphidophobia. It can go over to the visual cortex where you have input, and it tells you, that snake is not poisonous. So you are able to move, take a stick, or simply let the snake go away. Environmental care. Snakes are important in the environment. Snakes are important in the environment. Snakes are important just like spiders are. No. Don't go that far. What happens? The moment your eyes perceive what happens in your system, you perceive danger. And your hypothalamus will activate actually your sympathetic nervous system. What happens? Your brain instructs the adrenal glands to produce adrenaline. Fight or ready. If this information comes over to the amygdala, you are ready to fly. That's why the heart, a lot of physical changes, right? And you are ready to go. But then there is something else. If the information goes over to the relevant cortex, there is evaluation here. So instead of running very quickly, you'll be able to assess the situation and then come up with now a combination of emotional and what? Rational. And this is actually what gives you emotional what? Intelligence. That's what we call wisdom somewhere. So whatever comes over, sensory, neutral, comes over to the thalamus. It can actually come from this red center to the amygdala, and you'll have an emotional action that's running. Even love at first sight is the same way. People who slap others without reasoning, it is ABC. But then, even anger, those who are angry, by the way, when the children are angry, don't give them food to eat. It becomes poisonous. Let's go to the thalamus. Once the information comes over, it's taken to the cortex, where the cortex now will check the reasonableness of what has been said. When it comes back, it's having both rational and emotional input. This is a graphic demonstration that you can empower your prefrontal cortex to check what? Emotions, including what? Anxiety, including anxiety. I want to read. The prefrontal cortex of your brain, which is located just behind your forehead, can keep the emotions in what? In proportion. The amygdala handles emotion. The prefrontal cortex handles what? Judgment. The miracle is that the left prefrontal cortex can switch off what? Anger, emotions, and others. And so there is no excuse for people getting what? Angry and other emotions. The prefrontal cortex serves as a control tower, keeping anger under control, just using one of the examples. So by controlling anger, the person helps the prefrontal cortex get an upper hand over the amygdala so that one can have control over how they react during emotional outbursts. The point here is a strategy. Give your prefrontal cortex what? An upper hand. We can say many more things, but you are very... It's in the prefrontal cortex. When you now check the reasonableness, and time gives you an answer. Instead of rushing, you're thinking through it. Time is an answer when it comes to reasonableness and the power. Not really. Remember, this is for all human beings. This is for all human beings. Don't you have the brain? Don't we all have, whether saved or not? It's natural. It's a natural capacity. Natural capacity, you can imagine. Some of the tribes around the world are known for anger, right? If we have this natural capacity, then all of us qualify, right? To control our tempers. And this is a very interesting one. Go look for this book. Your brain has capacity to choose emotions. Your brain. Go check for this book. This is Your Brain on Joy. How new science of happiness can help you feel good and happy. It tells you that our brains have the capacity to choose, especially joy. Check for that book and read it. So it's on Amazon. And lastly, it's on this is Your Brain on Joy by Al Hensley. Very interesting book. So when you talk about rejoicing the Lord for Christians, God has given us inbuilt capacity to always choose happy hormones and happy feelings or emotions. Anything negative will cause trouble. No wonder anxiety disorders will always cause a lot of problems in many areas. Lastly, is nucleus accumbens. NSC. This is a brain's reward circuit. It's a liaison between the limbic system, which is the seat of emotions, and the central gray nuclei, useful in planning movements and for reasoning processes. We're mentioning something very important here, my dear friends. The dopamine, which is one of the neurotransmitters, dopamine release in the nucleus accumbens makes the brain a pleasure center. Hope causes a powerful surge of dopamine and works like drugs of abuse from nicotine to heroin. Our job is to give hope to the people. It neutralizes anxiety and gives them a better living. Thank you so much.
I think he deserves, the presidential claps, zile za Moi. Let's give him those ones. Yeah? Ya Obama ni gani? Hiyo sijui. Tumpatie ya Nyayo. Si tunajua Nyayo because we are Kenyans. All right, let's go. One, it's three claps. Yeah. Okay, now inaanzanga nafungua. 1, 2. Funga. Or until he sits. We keep on. Hey, thank you, Doc. You are really a fountain of knowledge. That's a lot to grasp within a short time. Thank you for sharing all that information with us. And now we are going for lunch. I am excited to see what people will put in their plates. And I know there are those who sneaked out of here to go and eat meat outside. There are others who are showing me they have hidden coffee and tea bags in their handbags. Yeah, we're not mentioning names, but no offense. Food is a struggle. For the food. Okay. Thank you very much. Maybe we can just give 2 or 3 people chances to ask quick questions or reflections on the 2 presentations we have had, Dr. Anika's and Dr. Marlon's. Questions, reflections?
I want to ask this question to a doctor here. It's like your brain can, maybe you just want to choose to be happy, but the outside environment cannot allow you. Is it conditioning, or how do you go about it?
Do you want to answer that immediately, or we take, let's give him, 2 or more questions. I need someone to, thank you.
Thank you so much. This is a question to the last presenter. Sometimes we react by reflex. For example, when you see a snake, before you think of looking at the shape of the head, you are gone. So how do you control that?
Yeah, I'm like you. I don't stay there long enough to look at the shape. Just run. Okay, somebody else?
Mine is just a reflection on what our great facilitators have taken us through, and considering the work that we are doing in the university, starting with what Dr. Pamela presented on. I'm looking at anxiety, and she rightly said that when you are working with students with anxiety, I've seen quite a number. So it's such a serious disorder, but you realize that it's accompanied by so many psychosocial problems. And therefore anxiety has a lot of comorbidities. And then, so as we work with them, then we need to open our eyes to trending issues among students, so that even when we are doing our treatment, then it's not like the traditional approach, that I'm waiting for a student to come to my office with a psychological disorder. I loved what Dr. Nika said, that we go into the classrooms. Actually, it's a good catch point, because sometimes you realize that they'll never come and yet they have problems. For those who are not graduating, actually they are the major problems now in the university, because they are the ones who are trafficking drugs. And what I've seen, and could be it's in other universities that I'm sure some of you have experienced that you realize that these ones who are not graduating are the ones, for us who are in large universities with big classes, you even find that a core unit is done by 2,000 students. So not all students will come for classes. But these ones who are not graduating are the ones who are attending even classes on behalf of the others. And we are actually getting into cases of disciplinary where we find another student has been attending classes and doing cuts for the other student, while the other one, they now have a collaboration. Some students are attending classes and others are working. So the ones who are working, who have gone out to work, are paying fee. They are paying their fee, but they've hired these ones to attend classes, 100 shillings per day. So these are the issues that we have. Student mothers, it's really another epidemic in the offing. Online gambling. So then when we think that they're on their phones, they're attending classes, they are literally gambling, and a lot of cases of suicide related to financial issues, but most of them are to do with gambling. And then finally, cheating in exams, and they've really gone technological. There was a time I sat in the disciplinary committee as a COD because my student was involved. And you know what we discovered was that these ones who are not graduating are the ones who are doing exams. And they're using artificial intelligence, so the others are in class and they are sending answers. So there's a syndicate, there's a group, so they formed groups of collaborations. And it doesn't matter what courses they do. Like that group, the leader was my psychology student, was the admin, and the others were from the School of Science and Technology. And it was so smart. And they said, yeah, now you can use OpenAI, to do exams and to do everything. So we have a serious problem. Apart from the traditional disorders, this anxiety and many others are coming along with other psychosocial issues. And this also even affects, the places where they reside, their residents. They are literally cohabiting, like 1 month, somebody stays with this man or this woman, another month, they keep getting married, divorcing, getting married. By the time they graduate, just a lot of issues. So then I think our approach, I appreciate our facilitators' holistic approach. What is the immediate issue, apart from anxiety? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for those reflections. Let me allow Dr. Marlon to respond. You had a question or a reflection? Let him respond, and then you can do the reflection.
Thank you. Beginning with what Doc has just mentioned, our strategies here are actually coming up with one summary, an eclectic approach, what we've just said. And what I made here was based on bio-psychosocial spiritual model. Bio-psychosocial spiritual. Now I've added the spiritual component for the Christians or other people who believe in the transcendent. And so it's important for us to shift our gears from offices into the playing grounds. I expect one time counselors to be in their tracksuits, running around with young people to know them better. So, tracksuits next time. Now, happiness. Ever since the onset of positive psychology, Martin Seligman, right? With the two branches of happiness, it looks like we've also, including Christians, we have now switched into the happiness mode. Whereas happiness depends on the environment, joy is without environmental variables. Naturally, a human being, according to that study, can keep happy. You can keep, what we call it, you can have an environment controlled within positive emotions. Even when you go to a hazardous environment, you are able to control your own world. Someone talked about motivation. Instead of waiting for salary increment as your motivation, you can actually have intrinsic motivation on your own. Whether they're giving you money or not, you have the capacity to withstand. Reverend, macrothumia and hupomone, the patience and steadfastness. You can have your own world where you gauge and protect yourself and say, this is my state and I'm not going to change. So it's possible. It's quite possible to have. It's possible even when you are in a hazardous environment. Reflex action when you see dangerous things. It's common. That's natural. It is natural. Educated or not educated. Religious or not. However, in the human body, we have that specific cortex. Whether it's from visual or touch. Sexual harassment can come from a touch, right? But your brain can still have a control so that you don't slap. So every human being has a control tower for emotions. And that is the specific cortex, whatever it can be. And that takes time because we said it is slow in assessing. The amygdala is quick, rapid, immediately. But the cortex takes time to assess, evaluate, reason, and then says, now act. That makes a whole difference. So you can actually have an emotional response or a logical response. Thank you. Doc.
All right, final. Okay, I wanted to talk the holistic approach on anxiety, just as my Dr. has talked about it. And this is in relation to the Naivasha accident. I think we handled these students, and one of the students, as you are told, I stayed with the parent for 2 weeks. So this is a student who was coming from one of the highlands in Lake Victoria. And this student had been given that 300,000 when they go out for sports. And then when he landed in the hospital, he realized that his trouser and everything had been removed, and he didn't know where they were. And he had that money in the trouser. And this money, he wanted to send it to the mother. And here he is in the hospital admitted. In fact, he was bandaged the whole head, and one eye was bandaged. And it was like it was not there. So when I called the eye specialist, we couldn't open it because it was not the time to open it. We had to stay for another 1 week for this eye to be seen as maybe it is going to work or not. So you see, this student had a lot of complex anxiety because the mother is in the island, the father has a disability, and the only money he had, which he wanted to send the money, is now lost. So he was telling me now, I think you should not even contact my parents, because how will my mother reach here? Because if she comes here, she'll not have a place to stay. And where will she get the money? So okay, I reassured her and I told him that, okay, if it is a place of where she can spend, maybe she can spend in my house. Okay, that time I went out of my way because I knew as a counselor I should not reinforce something like that. But I saw the need. At that particular time, the need was the parent to be there because he knew he was going to die. So I acted in that way because I knew I was taking care of his need at that particular time. So I rang the mother, and the mother came. So when the mother came, she was in the hospital there, and when she came, she found that I had left. And I instructed the boy that in case she comes and she doesn't have a place to spend, let her call me. So when she called me at around 7 p.m., she told me that they have chased us out from the wards and I don't have a place to go to. So I told her, okay, get a motorbike and let me speak to the motorbike rider. So I gave him the direction. Then he came up to where I was. And the lady also she was Nusu, because she's married to somebody who is half also. So she had to be helped by another lady to come to Nakuru. The two parents have disabilities. So when they came, I had to accommodate the two of them. So the following day, the one who escorted her went back to the highland now. But I reassured her that, okay, I'm going to take care of the mother, because I realized that the boy's need at that particular time was the parent to be near him. And he really responded very well. In fact, that eye healed very fast and he could use that same eye. So sometimes the counseling we do, it's not really the talking. Sometimes whatever the need is at that particular time. And that one I borrowed it from the nursing, because we are told that with the patient, give the patient what they need at that particular time, because you insist that this patient takes medication. You'll give the medication, she'll hide the medication, and that medication will not have helped that person. So that's why I had to stay with that mother, and I think after that, God has helped me a lot.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for actually stepping in and doing what needed to be done to reduce the anxiety. Yeah, and God bless you. That was quite a sacrifice. Okay, we have come to the end of our session for today, or for now, not for today. We are still wondering what to do with the afternoon now that it has rained. I think we will agree. Madam Chair, let me give you, and then you can give us the way forward.
Good afternoon again. Now, if we look at our programs, we were supposed to have team building this afternoon, and we had planned for a trip to the farm. So Madam Lois and Dr. Marlon were supposed to take us to their farm to see what happens there. But unfortunately, it is raining. So our suggestion is this, that we push tomorrow's morning program to afternoon, this afternoon, so that tomorrow morning, at least morning hours, there is some sunshine, we can go for team building in the morning and then come back for our certificates and we can leave. Yeah. So we will have the regional breakaway sessions this afternoon. I hope the regional leaders are here. Let me just see by show of hands. Nyanza, Coast, Anika is here. Western, Most, you are here, so you will take charge of that. Central is there. Eastern.
I am here, although I'm alone from Eastern.
So you will have your own meeting. Nairobi, Susan, you'll have a meeting by yourself. Rift Valley. They are there. Nairobi University are here. Daystar, Tangaza is here. Rift Valley. You will agree on your own. We don't want to get into Nairobi issues. Rift Valley. Our chair is not there, but we will meet and agree. So in those meetings, our regions have been dead. We want you to meet and tell us what you have done in those regions. If your chair has not been doing their work, we allow you to change and give us a new chair so that we are able to at least move the regions. They are very helpful. You saw how Rift Valley region came in to help Pwani. So those regions can really be of help. So kindly, you will know where you meet immediately after lunch, and then we will all assemble here after that for the reports. We are going for late lunch. Luckily enough, our lunch was also late. They had told us to go 10 minutes to 2, so we are not late for lunch. How many minutes do we give ourselves for lunch? 30 minutes. So that means by 2:30 we are here. 2:30 we are here. And then how many minutes do we give ourselves for discussion in our groups? 30 minutes discussion, meaning by 3 we are here. Because thereafter there is also a report I need to give you from the Kenya Counselors and Psychologists Board. Okay? So. Tomorrow, Eunice Njenga will be our lead person when it comes to team building. So Eunice will be also informing us on what we will do in the morning for the team building. So. Okay. So Reverend Nani anatuombea for lunch.
I just want to thank our presenters. Indeed, they have been a motivation. The study that you referred to, I wrote a proposal 5 years ago, but I never bothered to complete it. So, yeah, so it is an inspiration to complete the work I started 5 years ago is when I wrote just the proposal, and I made a presentation about it, but I did not complete the study. But we are working now with Esther to complete the study now. But it has been inspirational to see that I did not write the research gap there. And I'm always pinning students on what is the research gap. So, but it's an inspiration. So let's stand and pray and give thanks for the food that we are going to consume. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you even for the many gifts that you've given us. Thank you for your blessings upon our lives. Thank you even for giving us food. May you bless it and even remember those who do not have. And even for the rest of the day, we commit it unto your able hands that, Father, we may continue to see your hand and blessings upon our lives. For For we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.